see if this is working. I don't know if it's working. I should not say that every time at the beginning. Okay, I think I'm on. I think we're rolling. And so far nobody's with me. Oh, there you are, Marquetta. Hello. How are you? Doing good? I'm glad you're here. Oh, no, there's a couple more people. It looks like. Bonjour. Hi, Christine. How are you? It's such a challenge. We went to bed much earlier or later than we were supposed to tonight, my stepdaughter Isla. And so I'm trying to, could you let me know if my volume is okay? Can you guys hear me? Just say a oui or a si or a yes in the comments. I am exhausted. I'm glad you can hear me. I hope you're hearing me. If you can't hear me, just say something. But we had a really long day today and went swimming at our friend's house, and it was a great day, but we ate dinner late and got home really late. And so, oh, thank you for the thumbs up, Kelly. And so bedtime was like only about an hour ago, and so I'm hoping that she's asleep and doesn't come out. So I was gonna say before I start too that I'm glad you're good, Marquetta. I was gonna say before I start that I called my mom on the way home and I said, I have this live video tonight and I feel like I should maybe shower and put on a dress. And I was like, no, that's what's so nice about it is I can do it from home and I don't have to, it can be Saturday night and late and you guys can see me in my PJs and oh well. So I did not shower, but you can't smell me. And I did not put makeup on because I don't wear a lot of makeup anyways. And I did brush my teeth for you because just in case I had this garlic stuff for dinner and it's really pungent. So just in case somehow you could smell my garlic through the camera, I did brush my teeth. So, hi everybody. What I'm gonna do is I'm glad you've been waiting for it all day. Me too, Blair, yay. So I'm gonna go through elementary and then middle and then high school and what I do for the first week of school. And I think, hi, Kristen. And as you have questions, go ahead and type them. My thought around doing elementary and then middle and then high. Middle and high are so similar, you just got to tweak it a little bit. But my thought around doing elementary, then middle, then high is just being able to talk about them as their own things because they're so different. But before I start, I always, with every presentation, like to say that I have taught in elementary, middle, and high school. I've also taught adults. The only thing I haven't taught is college. I have taught in high poverty, low income schools, public schools. I've taught in independent schools. I've taught in private schools. I've taught homeschooled kids. I'm starting in a public charter this year. So I've taught in all sorts of school environments. And I've also taught with class sizes the size of 40 kids crammed in my room. And my smallest class last year, which I'd take a class of 40 any day over a class of 4. I had a class of 4 last year and they were amazing, but I've literally done it all. And as far as first week of school goes, I always approach it the same, regardless of where I'm teaching. I tweak it every year because obviously I'm reflecting on what went well, what didn't go well, what I could do better. And the last 3 years, it's remained pretty consistent. But tonight, I'm going to talk about what I do and how I choose to set up for the year. It does not mean that it's the end all be all. And there might be some things that you strongly disagree with and you do differently, which is great. Which is what's so nice about being teachers is we're all very, very different people. And our kids get us as individuals, our authentic self, our authentic selves, hopefully. So, first, I'll start with elementary. And I think the most important thing to keep in mind with them is tone, because I'm just seeing if there's any questions yet. Hi, everybody saying hi. Um, with tone. So, with elementary, middle, and high school, tone is really important. With elementary students, it's a really intimidating, scary thing coming to language class for the first time. They're really amped up though at the same time because you're their special for the day, right? So their energy level is already higher. But if you're a CI teacher, um, rumors are probably going around the school that you only speak in Spanish. And if you've been there a few years, perhaps the kids are comfortable. But if you're new, that's intimidating. So setting a tone with the actual tone of your voice for the class, actually sounding like you're really excited to see them, getting down on their level as they come into the room, literally down on your knees if they're littles, high-fiving them when they come in. I do not advise speaking in Spanish more than hola, or speaking in French more than bonjour when they come in, because that's going to be terrifying. So making sure they're comfortable when they're coming in and they're hearing English and they realize that you're not some scary person that only speaks a language that they're not going to understand. So what I'm going to do too is, as I've talked about things that I've already blogged about, I've blogged about all of this, but it's the longest blog I've ever written. So I'm going to post it in case anybody is interested in reading it later. So I've posted it in the comments. So elementary kiddos, they come in, you're really excited. And then the very first thing you should do is work on building your community in a safe place for them, right? So that's going to be, again, for all of them. But the very first thing in order to do that is you need a transition of some kind. And for me, my transition is always a call response because I have a very big voice, and I'm theatrically trained. I am. So I know how to use it. And I need them to know that we have to have a super secret way to get their attention. So I have to teach them right away before anything else. Like they've come in, you've greeted them at the door, made eye contact, high fives if they're comfortable with it. They're all around you. Sometimes with elementary, if they were second through fifth, they sat in chairs in a rainbow for me. If they were pre-K through first, they sat on the floor in different spots that I had taped. I literally taped X's for their bottoms, where to sit. So as soon as they're sitting, I say, and usually first day they're a little jittery, but they're a little nervous too. So I would say, hola, hola, exactly. My hi, Lillian. I would say, hola, hola, and then they'd say Coca-Cola. So I tell them, okay, I'm going to say hola, hola. And every time I say hola, hola, you have to say Coca-Cola and you have to get quiet really fast. So we're going to practice it right now. Hola, hola. They should say Coca-Cola. And it's easy the first time because they're not making noise anyways. So then you tell them to talk to the people next to them and then you try it. And of course, they're still pretty perfect then. But then you make it harder and you wait until they're totally quiet. And you don't go on until they're totally quiet. And you practice this and practice this and practice this and practice this. And then what I do with elementary after that is just TPR. I just TPR a few things like stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, run, sit down. So really little bits of Spanish. And then what I'll do for the rest of the class period is talk about the rules with them. I have my rules posted in Spanish, but I'm talking about them in English with them. When they're literate, like second graders can see the word respeto and they know it's respect. They can guess it's respect. The next rule is español, inglés, no. They can usually figure that out. But as I go through each of my rules, I talk to them about like what that means and what they think it means and respect. What does it mean to respect your teacher? What does it mean to respect yourself? What does it mean to respect your peers? Respect yourself is really hard for elementary students to grasp. So you have to help them with that. Talking about how everybody's going to learn at different rates, and some of you are going to learn really fast and others are going to need more time. So really talking through it with elementary kids. And just in English, like there's going to be so much time for Spanish. Well, not really, because you don't see them very often, but you're going to have so much time for your target language throughout the year. It's really important for their comfort level, for starting to build a safe place, all these things, and for really them understanding exactly what's expected of them, to be able to talk to them in English at this point. And again, this is my opinion. Other people strongly disagree and think you should jump straight into the Spanish or French or whatever you're teaching. But hey, Jason, my wallet's in the kitchen. Thanks for mailing it to me. You guys, I left my wallet in Jason's car. They let you fly without an ID. It's an extensive process, and basically like full on close off, pat down, like go through your stuff, every item. I had to have an interview with the government to prove who I was, and know birth dates of all of my relatives down to the year. And luckily I knew the last 4 of my dad's social, like crazy stuff. So thanks for mailing me my wallet, Jason. So that's really, really important with elementary. And really your goal for all of them is just this entire week to really build a community and relationships with them. First week, you may only see your kids once, or if you're lucky, maybe twice for elementary. So the next day they come in, you do the same thing, greet them at the door, immediately practice your call response. If you don't want to do a call response with your voice, find a noisemaker to do it. One teacher from North Carolina told me he bought a gong. Super cool. Not so cool for the teacher down the hall. So you could find noisemakers. Carol Gobb does like a different noisemaker every week for novelty, because brains crave novelty. You could do a million different things, but the most important thing is that you do not move on until they are silent. And you praise them when they're getting it. High fives, so excited. I loved that as soon as I said that, you guys said Coca-Cola and you were so silent and your eyes were on me. You guys remembered exactly what to do with that. That was so awesome. I'm so proud. And so right away hearing that, and continue to do TPR, whatever you can do to make it a really safe place for them. I'm gonna copy another blog that I did right after IFLT that talks about the importance of like community and do you implement individual consequences for students or only whole group and teacher points? Individual consequences. Hi, Jess. I am not sure what you mean by consequences. For me, my management system is completely positive all the time. Relentlessly positive no matter what. That's what Paul Kirschling says. So as far as consequences, no, I need to always find a way to redirect misbehaviors. So let's say they are not getting, or there's a couple kids yelling Sprite. I'll just say, oh, can anybody remind me how this works again? I say hola, hola, and what do you guys say? Okay, so maybe somebody can model that with me, and then I'd pull a kid up and just them model it. And then as far as points go, this year I still am going to use my point system, but I'm altering it. So I'm doing a just students. It's going to be just class. There's going to be no teacher. So I have 3 blogs on my old point system, and I'll write a revised blog. But even though the class versus teacher was always very positive, I want it to be, I'm moving to a responsive classroom school, and so there can't be any punitive whatsoever, which makes sense because that's how I manage anyways. It's all positive. So I'm going to remove the teacher altogether and just do class points. And to test that out this year or this summer, I did a language lab at IFLT and then a language lab at Express Fluency, and I just did class points, not teacher points. exactly the same. No difference whatsoever. They were equally as motivated by just class points. They were equally as excited about it as Jazz. And I didn't have the teacher. I just said, "Oh, super bien. I heard almost everybody do that call response, but everybody was quiet right away, so I can give you some points, but I can give you more next time if everybody remembers to say the Coca-Cola." Um, so definitely full class everything though, even full class praise. If two people are doing something awesome and they're just speaking so much Spanish and I really wanted it to be everybody, I still find a way to make it full class positive. So like I noticed that two people are sharing lots of the Spanish and the words that we've been working on. I'm so proud. That was so awesome. And everybody else is listening, actively listening, being respectful. That's so great. That's exactly what I want to see. So even when it's not exactly what I wanted, I'm praising for what I do see, and then hopefully intrinsically motivating them through recognizing the actions that I want. And it's also redirecting them to what I want through positive feedback. But I will say too that if it's a train wreck and something is like totally not at all what you were envisioning, it's really important to reflect on, did you model well enough? Because the likelihood is no. If it's a hot mess, the likelihood is it needed to be modeled much better. So you need to just stop everything and go, okay, let's rethink this. I'm going to model what I want, maybe with, and you pick somebody, not the top student, because they won't watch and they won't pay attention because they'll be annoyed. So pick somebody who you know will do it well, model with them, ask the kids what they noticed, and then try it again. And I guarantee you it will go 100% better than it did the first time. You need a model. So 3D, what? Oh, I'm confused about that. Thanks for sharing your blog post. You're welcome. So you do class points versus other class points? No. So they are trying to earn class points for their class to get a fiesta. And the fiesta is student choice. I will blog about my new point system, Jess. It's literally the exact same point system. It's just going to be class only. But they're just as excited about it. So they, as far as how many points, Marquetta, it has to be what you, it's too hard. It's too hard to tell you a certain number. Like my number is usually like 2,000 or 2,500 points is what they have to earn a fiesta, because I'm very generous with my point giving. Other teachers who are not as liberal with their points, like crazy, they might say you have to earn 50 points before a fiesta. The only thing that matters really, in elementary, if it's elementary, they don't care. You don't even need to do a fiesta. You can just for fun, but they really don't care. Maybe 4th and 5th grade, but littles, all they care about is points. Like my pre-K were so excited about, I'm like, puntos para la clase. And then I would like count them with them. And they're like, uno, dos, tres. And it's going past 3. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just that easy. Oh God, it's not always like that though. So yes, when they're a little bit older, they need the fiesta motivation. And that's why in middle and high school, like after 3 or 4 weeks, you have that fiesta to really like create buy-in, right? But the point system is just like an extra. I'm doing a whole classroom management webinar on Monday and the following week with Fluency Matters, and it's based on my presentation I did at IFLT. And the point system is just tiny little piece of feedback. What's more important is that you're building intrinsic motivation through all the other things you're doing, right? Darn, I kind of liked the teacher points because it was a way to show they weren't quite what they should be without, I know, but I tell you what, and I did the exact same thing without teacher and they were just as motivated. I would say like 2 puntos en el futuro like maybe 5 points. Like it was the same exact thing. Let's see. Hi, Tina, I love you too. Hey, Teresa. Somebody else said, how often would you do a fiesta with middle school? You got to do one fast, and then from there, I don't know. You just kind of like, oh gosh, it's been 7 weeks and we haven't had one. We should probably do one. And you never really count the points. What do you do with pre-K on the first week of school? Same thing. You don't see them that much. So same thing I already talked about. Lots of TPR, rules. Make them comfortable. Don't worry about the Spanish because you'll get Spanish throughout the year. Focus on your rules, focus on the expectations, focus on your super secret signal, the transition. That's all that matters, because without transitions, you can't do anything. You can't run your classroom at all. Transitions is number one. Okay, I'm gonna go into and PQA. You can, especially with like 2nd through 5th, if you see them a couple times a week, the 2nd or 3rd time you see them, you can start to work in little bits of PQA, like the personalization. But that's where it's really important to hammer home your rules, because they're all going to want to tell you, if let's say you start with have, because that's usually what comes up first. TNA has. I am not targeted, so I don't plan what structures that are gonna come first. I just go with what makes most sense or what's happening in the class. So, but has is almost always it. And then they want to talk about what animals they have. And they all want to tell you exactly how many animals they have and what those names are and what their colors are and what their favorite foods are all at once. So it's like finding a way to let them know, like, I'm going to know all about you and I'm going to find out about all your animals throughout this year. But I need to make sure that when we're together that we can stay in Spanish. So I'm going to choose some people to talk about, and that's how this method is going to work. You're going to hear it. What can you replace fiestas with if your school does not allow fiestas? My school doesn't allow fiestas either, my new school. So I've already talked to admin, and my fiestas are all going to be, they're all Spanish games still. So they're academic games. I just had to tell them, like, these are the fiestas. It's not real parties. So they want me to come up with a new name. I haven't figured that out, but student choice day or so, I don't know, whatever. But there's a whole blog on my fiestas. Let me find it really fast. I have so many blogs on my point system. But I think that so many people get carried away with worrying about points, and I think that points are such a small piece to classroom management. How does a fiesta look like? No, it's okay. There's a blog post now in the comments. Why do you think explaining the rules in the beginning or the first day versus as they come up? Good question. I think it's essential. Okay, I'm going to talk about rules. Just give me a second, Teresa. Rules and expectations on a blog. No, I'm going to talk about them right now. Well, kind of in the blog I posted earlier on, first week of school. At what grades can you start movie talk and storytelling? I have a video of movie talk with kindergarten. You can do it with pre-K. Super easy. Storytelling, story listening, you can do with first grade for sure. Storytelling, like story asking, first, second. Kinder can do amazing things. Okay. So fun day. I like fun day, Tina. That's a good idea. Yeah, student choice day, it doesn't really matter. Point is that they need to get something for these points. But the points, I think we're focusing too much on the points, because what matters more is the community you're building and the routines, rituals, rules you're establishing that first week. So with middle school, rules are changing for me this year, and I'm going to blog about it. We are spending an entire week at my school establishing norms for each part of the building, because the kids have done this every year in every grade, and they've established rules. But we're starting our pioneer classes starting 5th grade in my school, Bricolage Academy. So we're spending an entire week norming every place in the building. I haven't got to high school yet. I'll get to high school yet, Karen. So I'm going to spend tons of time norming my classroom. What that's going to look like is first setting up, I'm not allowed to create my own rules this year, which terrified me because I've had the same rules for elementary, middle, and high school my entire career. Respect for me, for you, for everyone. Rule number 2, Spanish, no English. So you'd say target language, no English. Rule number 3, participation, eyes and ears makes me really happy with a heart. Because they need to be listening to me with their eyes and their ears. And I've had the same exact rules for years. And they are big and overarching. I can't stand it when I see rules that are like six rules, 7 rules long. It's so overwhelming. And for me, it gives me anxiety. I can't imagine being a child and looking at like a list of rules. If you have 3 really huge overarching rules that encompass everything, you're covered. So when I was told, oh, I have to create rules with my children, I was like, oh my gosh, no, like I can't, totally terrified me. But I've found that all I'm going to be doing is guiding them to those rules that I've done for years. So I'm going to spend a whole week with them. And this is what everybody in my building is doing. It's so cool on just establishing norms. So they're going to come up with their hopes and dreams for Spanish in all of their classes, but for Spanish in my room with me. And we're going to post those. I'm probably going to do it as a chalk talk. So we're going to post all these rules. I'll post a blog about chalk talk in a second. Or we're going to post all these hopes and dreams for them. Then the next day I'm going to come up and I'm going to say, these were some of your hopes and dreams. Tell me, like, what do we need to do together in this space to make sure that those hopes and dreams can come true? And they're going to come up with, I'm going to put them into mini groups and they're going to like come up with 6 ideas each. And then they're going to talk about all those 6 ideas and then come up with 3 in those groups of what they think are the most important. And then we're going to come all together and we're going to share them all out. And the likelihood of them all being related and similar is high, really high. So I'm going to do that for all my classes. And then I'm going to bring all of their rules together and I'm going to find connections between all of their rules and guide them to more or less the rules I've had forever. But now they are way invested. This is all part of Responsive Classroom. I did a huge training on this. Will I do all of this in Spanish? Absolutely not. 100% in English. Good question. Hi, my Kristen. 100% in English. Which I'm very different. This is just like my school. My school is doing this. So yes, 100% in English. But even if I were doing this, like my rules in the beginning anyways, which I'm about to talk to for middle school and high school, is all in English anyways, 100%. So once I have these rules, they are 100% invested because they created them. Even if I manipulate it to be my real rules, right? The ones that I'm attached to. Because really, those are all encompassing. I'm not going to say them again. They're just the best. Anyways, so I will have had like a whole week to do that with them. And then I'm going to start my Spanish, right? My Spanish class. People are like, oh, so you jump into Spanish right away? No, I don't. I speak a ton of intentional, purposeful English the first week of school. A ton. Not only with elementary, with middle and high school. I have to. Because later in the year, new kids come and they don't even know I speak English. Because I can get it to where I am really 100% in the target language, and the few bits of English that need to come, like the 10% the ACTFL says we can play around with, 90% target language, 10%, the other 10% can come from my kids. My kids can do the other 10% for me, because if I need to talk about a new brain break, if we've built up enough brain breaks with enough system and routines and procedures that they're used to, I just kind of tweak it, model it real quick in Spanish with a couple of higher kids. And then I say, okay, ¿quién puede explicar en inglés? Who can explain in English? I don't say the English part. Somebody raises their hand, probably half the class raises their hand. I call on somebody, they quick make sure that everybody's on the same page, boom, we start. So I don't care about taking time in the beginning to set up really, really clear expectations of what I need. And the beauty of it is somebody just asked again, are you doing a Spanish lesson or rule making? No. English, 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 English. So these are expectations and they're norms. They're not even rules anymore, because I call them rules with the littles because they're expectations and rules. But in middle school, 5th through 12th grade, they're norms, they're expectations, they're how we're going to create this space together. They're not me dictating rules to them. They're expectations for how we're going to reach their hopes and dreams and goals in Spanish. So I will have already established these rules, these norms with them for a whole week in my class. We will have built them. This is at my school, okay? Then first, like actual class day with them, I'm doing the exact same thing I did with elementary. And the second they come in the room, I am greeting every single one of them with strong eye contact at the door, high fives if they feel like people that can, that are, why, there's somebody that keeps on doing an angry face. It really gets at me. I know I shouldn't care about it because I love all the hearts and happy faces, but there's somebody, a troll or something, that just hits an angry face. It hurts my feelings. Okay. I'll get over it. So they're coming in, you make eye contact, you're smiling at everybody, letting them know you're really excited they're there. And then you teach them a call response or some sort of transition immediately. Thank you for the hearts and reaffirming me. So you're immediately giving them huge praise and excitement for them being in your space, because they need that. They need to know immediately from the get-go that you're really excited they're there and that you care about them. So this is my middle school. High school is super similar, so just listen for the tweaks that I give you about high school in a little bit. So middle school, they're coming into the room. You establish a transition. Mine is hola, hola, Coca-Cola for the beginning of the year. I'm actually going to give you a French blog, French teachers. You should be really excited. This is my friend Allison Litton. Allison did a whole blog on transitions in French that are fun and cute. Okay, let's see. Somebody else just asked something. How do you keep your energy level so high? That's me. And I think that's such a common thing that people are like, well, how do I get your energy? You got to be your authentic self. If you don't have energy that allows you to bounce off the walls like mine, don't aim for that. You've got to be enthusiastic, but you don't need to bounce off the walls to show enthusiasm. Your kids will care about your content if you are caring about them and your content. Someone said they were accidentally doing that earlier on their phone and they realized and apologized. Oh, okay, maybe I feel better about the angry faces. It might be accidental. You're right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, Lori. I'm glad you're here. So intentional eye contact as they come in. Establish that call response and then do it with them a million times. Even get them up, walking around. Tell them to say hola to 5 different people. And then you say hola, hola, Coca-Cola. And see how quickly they can look at you and get quiet. And then praise, 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 praise. If you're doing a point system, give them points. If you don't have unicorn enthusiasm on your own, store-bought is fine. I also agree. Adopt a unicorn agencies are everywhere. And sometimes you just need more unicorns in your life to be enthusiastic. It's true. Okay, so I saw you at IFLT and you were able to do lots of personalization. I have around 600 students. I can't even remember all their names, much less what likes movies. I'm sorry, I'm worried what PQA should look like. Personalization, not PQA. Think of it like that. You won't be able to know everything about everyone. You have 600 children. Impossible. And names, that's just an ongoing process. Try and learn them. In the meantime, say cariño, my love, my dear. Make them feel loved and cared about and valued. Look them in the eye, but don't worry about their names so much. Throughout the year, I give nicknames. Let me find that blog. I think nicknames are really powerful, and they love them. They really look forward to them. And I mean, sometimes it takes 3 years before a kid gets a nickname, but they really love them. So worry about personalization, just finding out little tidbits of details, because that's what builds your community. It's one thing that people notice a lot when they come to see me. They're like, you're talking about them on the whole class, no matter what you're doing, whatever story, whatever movie talk, you're just constantly talking about them. And that's essential. You have to personalize everything you're doing to them. They love that. So once you've established your call response with middle school, acknowledge the fact that there's no desks in your room, because hopefully there's no desks in your room, right? I hope so. Acknowledge the fact, hey, yeah, there's no, my new point system isn't blogged about yet, Kristen. There's no desks in this room, and guess what? This is going to be a really, really different class in more ways than just there's no desks in here. It doesn't mean we're not going to write. We're totally going to write, and you're going to really like the writing that we're going to do. But it's going to just look different in here all the time. And so acknowledge it. Acknowledge that there's no desks. And then say, I like no desks because we can get up and do tons of brain breaks all the time. I like there's no desks because it allows me to like get to know you better and we can all get to know each other. You guys are all going to be interacting with each other every single day, all these different people. Yes, this is all in English, all in English. Somebody remind me at the end to answer Angela's question on native and heritage speakers, because I could go for hours on that. So we're not going to do that right now. If you have to have desks, because some of you were saying that, first of all, get rid of them. Don't ask permission. Get rid of them. Ask permission later. If they force you to move them back in your room, go to there's a Facebook page on going deskless, like deskless TI classroom, something like that. There are presentations people have made for their admin that they share there, so you can use those. There's research that it's better. Show videos of my kids on YouTube and how much more they're able to do. I can't fathom going back to having desks. Management wise, I cannot imagine having desks anymore and trying to move across the room. If you are stuck on a cart and you're having to share a room with somebody or something like that, you need to find a way. One time when I was doing that, we had a system where the first 2 minutes of class were kids moving the desks to the outskirts of the room and us sitting in an arch, because they were 4th and 5th grade, so they were able to. We moved the desks, and then at the last 2 minutes, we moved them back. Like, find a way. And if there's no moving because you have a really tiny classroom, you need to find a way to do as many brain breaks as possible still. Have them sit on the desks. Have them work with the person behind. I wish you could get rid of your desks. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's not a deskless thing. I didn't ask for permission. Yeah, Laura, you said that. You just removed them and told the principal what you were doing. It's awesome. So no desks. So I don't set up desks for people who are asking. I literally just have chairs in an arc. Or if I have too many kids in the class, I have 2 rainbows and they're all just looking at me. So acknowledge that there are no desks. And then first day with my newbies, middle school, I jump into a sample of, and this is it, they remember we've already done a week of rules, so I'm not explaining my rules. If you haven't done rules, then go straight to your rules and explain your norms or your expectations. Go straight to them and explain them. But they already know this about my space, so I'm jumping straight into personalization. And it's probably going to be with likes, because in middle school, that's what they want to talk about, is what they like. So again, it might be has or wants. It just depends on the class and what I'm getting the feel from them. And then as soon as that's finished, I go back to that third rule, which hopefully I will guide them to, being something about participating all the time and watching me all the time. And I say, now, why was this important? Why did you find, thank you, Viviana. Viviana posted the Facebook group for the deskless classrooms. And Kristen posted a link to why deskless classrooms are awesome. Oh, hey, Stefan. You're still my favorite teacher. La vida loca. I love you. My norms and expectations on one of my blogs? No. My old rules they're on that blog that I posted earlier. My new system, I haven't blogs about yet because I haven't done it with kids yet. So I'm going to do it after I do it with them. So then they go bye-bye. Then they come back the next day, and I remind them about the call response, see how good they remember it, how well they remember it. And then immediately after, we jump into a chalk talk, which I'm going to post it right now, this blog. There it's in the comments. I immediately do a chalk talk with them on the character traits of a language learner. So they've had a very small sample, maybe 15 minutes of comprehensible input modeled. Again, this is what I do on the first week of school. If you think, oh my God, just doing 15 minutes and spending so much time in English, I couldn't do that. I need to set from the beginning what this class is going to look like. More power to you. That is fine. But for me, it is essential that I am immediately doing tons of English to explain exactly what this class is going to be and what it's going to look like, so that the following week I can hammer Spanish and only Spanish, because the rest of the year, that's my goal, is to get to 100%. That's my goal. And with my kids being my little interpreters every now and then, I need to be able to speak in Spanish with them. And this is my important time to be able to set that up. So I do character traits of a language learner, which is a chalk talk. I just lay out a giant piece of butcher paper. And then I put out the character traits, and they're all listed in that blog. I think they're a Spanish student or a French student, German student, whatever student should laugh. They create with the language. They take risks. They aren't afraid to make mistakes. They see opportunities for practice. And I'm changing that one a little bit this year, because I don't want them ever practicing language. I just want them seeing opportunity for using it. They ask questions, they use circumlocution, and they listen. So those are the character traits of a language learner. But I do not do this with littles. I'm doing this with middle schoolers, okay? So Anne says, I teach K-5. I thought I'd do what you mentioned, K through 1 on the floor, 2 to 5. Do I need to stack chairs off to the side when they're in the room? No, you don't need to stack. Don't move the chairs. You don't have time for that. This is my first year not on a cart. And it's my first year deskless. And you're going to have such a good year. You don't move your chairs. They're not a distraction for the kids. And in fact, with my littles, the last thing we would do is they would get up on the chairs and color for the last 5 minutes. But you guys, there's this amazing book called Yardsticks, and it's by Chip Wood. Have any of you read that? It's so stinking good. Well, listen to what, Viviana? Last year I tried to chalk and the top chalk and turned into a wallpaper for my classroom for the whole year. I got so many compliments on it. Yes, that is so cool. I love that. Yeah, mine was displayed in our hall for the first like quarter. I loved it. Yardsticks is such a good book, and it explains like developmentally where kids are at every age. It's fascinating, so fascinating. But there's like a whole explanation of why kindergartners can't sit in chairs. Like they flop out. Like it's just developmental. It's like, oh my God, I totally get it. Do you assign students jobs, and do you do that first week? I don't really do jobs. I mean, not assigned ones. Like they might help me one day here, won't help me one day there. I find that it creates too much conflict, even if it's unspoken conflict, because they all want to do the jobs. Oh my gosh, Lori, if you don't you teach middle? I can't remember what you teach, Lori. It's the best book. It's so good. Okay, so do character traits of a language learner. That takes almost the whole time. Then I redirect them to the norms. I'm going to remind them what it looks like. And then the next 2 days, I know you guys are going to be like, oh, I was hoping for more. What you do really the first week. This is really what I do the first week. The next day is purely a pretest. And sometimes it takes 2 days. And yes, I give it to kids. Lori, you need to buy the book. It's so good. Yes, you give it to kiddos who have not had any Spanish before. I give the same pretest to all of my children. And last year we gave it to our middle and high school students. And it's a reading, writing, speaking, and listening test. The speaking I don't do at the beginning of the year. Boom. The reading and listening are two different, there's varied levels of readings and varied levels of listening. The listening, I have a native speaker record for me because I don't want it to be my voice. And they answer questions, comprehension questions based on the listening. They answer questions based on the reading. And then the writing, they look at a storyboard. There is nothing written for them. And then they make up a story. And if all they can do is list words like hola and azul, then that's all they can do at the beginning. So they all take this pretest. And when they're done with the pretest, I give them some sort of survey, like a get to know you survey. No, I don't have a pretest to give you. No, I don't have anything to share with that yet. I'm not ready to. I did mine based off of the Denver Public Schools pre and post test. It's for sale and it's amazing, and I wish everybody had money to buy it because the team of teachers that has worked on that for years and years, I used to be on the team. It's taken years and it is incredible. And it's all based on ACTFL standards. It immediately tells you what proficiency level the kids are in at all different levels. But I based mine off of that, so it's just proficiency based. And all I need is a marker of where they're starting so that at the end of the year they can take the exact same tests and I can give them to them and show them their growth. That's the only reason I do it. And it's amazing. And I have had nothing but amazing feedback from parents and students every single year from doing that. So I take the time to do it and I tell them, hey, I know this is going to be annoying, especially if you don't speak Spanish, but I need you to do your best because you're going to do your best at the end of the year. And then I give them that survey in English. Ask them like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Who's your favorite famous person? Who's your least favorite famous person? Do you like to read? If so, what do you like to read? Do you rather do art? Like tons and tons of questions. Are you in Fortnite? Are you into like tons and tons? And then I always, the first questions, the most important questions that you ask on this survey are, how long have you been speaking Spanish for? What languages do you speak at home? What language do you speak with your mom? What language do you speak with your dad? What language do you speak with your grandma? What language do you speak with your friends? because that's how you find your heritage learners. And that's how you quickly find them so that you can find a better place for them. Because a level 1 beginning second language class is not the place for a heritage learner. It's not for a native speaker. And a lot of people say, oh no, that's great. I just use them because it's such a great thing to have such awesome cultural. Yes, I'm all about valuing them, but I'm also going to fight for them, and I'm going to fight for what's right for them. And a level 1 beginning second language acquisition class is not right for a native speaker, for a heritage speaker. Because think of it like this. If you are a native English speaker, and this is how I'm speaking, and this is a classroom, can you imagine this? Ashley, what do you want? Show me want. Good. Ashley, what do you want? Chocolate? Class. Ashley wants chocolate. Ashley, do you want Snickers or Hershey? How is that going to benefit a heritage learner? No. Get them in the Spanish, get them in the French class, get them in, and if they have to be in there, then you need to find something for them that's not being your classroom helper. You need to take the extra time and make sure that they can still learn and take something from your class. Give them a Fluency Matters novel, a higher level one. They're going to write book reports for you. Like, you cannot have them be your little helper, your mini teacher. It's not helping them. This is my first time starting with CI. I've introduced my rules in English and getting to know. Pre-test on Monday. Next, I want to get started with curriculum suggestions. Did you say you can do Chalk Talk? I don't do Chalk Talk with elementary. What was the name of the book? I was reading one of the blogs. Yardsticks. Yeah, I posted the Chalk Talk blog. I don't do Calendar Talk. Thank you. Yes, it is a responsive classroom book, probably. My admin want a placement test. What do you recommend? I don't know how much the Denver test is. It's the only thing I ever recommend. Even with first-year Spanish students. Even what for first-year Spanish students? Do you give a survey to share? Yes, you give the test to first-year Spanish students. I'm sure that's what you're asking. Do you have a survey to share? I have an old survey on my Teachers Pay Teachers for free, but I edit it every year, and I've never ever updated that version. So I think it's so old that it asks if they like Pokemon Go, and that's so not in anymore. But you can use that and tweak it if you want. Do you have a survey? How long are your classes, and do you adjust based on the length of that first week? I teach 4th through 8th, but for example, 4th is only. Curious how you deal with students you barely see, setting expectations. Here's the thing, you guys. There is no rule anywhere that says that you should not be going back to your norms and expectations oh, look, there's Carlos. Every single day. Every single day you have them. Because guess what? You are not their only class, and you are not their only teacher. So they are learning 7 different, probably more than that, 7 different sets of rules, 7 different personalities of teachers, 7 different expectations, 7 different syllabi, 7 different, it's insane. So you need to be constantly reminding them for the first 3 months of what your classroom looks like and how it runs. Construction paper crayons on black paper is the best. Oh, how cool is that? Thanks, Viviana. Do I have a sample? You can check my Teachers Pay Teachers. I have a survey there, but it's really old. So it's not at all what I'll do this year. And no, I haven't created it yet because I don't see students for we've been back to school for 3 weeks, but I don't see kids for a while. Okay, so once I've done the pre-test, I then give my kids the syllabi, and I give them the interpersonal and interpretive communication rubric. So it is literally how I grade them every single day. So they know already the expectation of participation. I just posted that blog where you can literally click on the syllabus. You can look at the syllabus. I don't have a downloadable, editable version of that, but I do have a downloadable, editable version of the rubric that I use. And it is absolutely so important that you go through every single piece of that rubric with them and let them know what you need. So the next day that they come in, this is like day 5, you do a whole entire CI lesson. And my lessons always, it depends on how open they are. Like if they're really shy still about this method, hopefully by now they're getting really comfortable with me. If they're really shy still, I have them do a card talk. This is middle. I'm still talking about middle. I have them do a card talk. So on a piece of paper, they write their name really big, and then they draw something either they like, they have, or they want, or whatever word is making most sense for me to do with them. Then they display that at their feet. And then I go through and I'm just personalizing and learning about as many of them as I can. But taking time, like if somebody drew the mountains, and then like taking time to find out everybody who likes mountains, who prefers the beach, and like going off on a tangent forever on that if I want to. So really just focusing on, oh, thank you, Kristen. Kristen posted the old survey that I have. I have no choice but to include 2 native speaker boys in level 1A. I'm going to have them read and write separately for me, but I will have to chat with them and their parents about the fact that they will be separate. That is essential, Lori. Yes, you have to talk to their families, and you have to have admin in the room. So admin can hear what a disadvantage, like how unfortunate this is, and how you really wish you were going above and beyond to make sure that you're giving them what they need as heritage learners. But this is not like the class that is gonna like model for them, like in Spanish, exactly what you do in a level 1A, so that they really are like, oh yeah, my kid doesn't need that. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but they need the reading. Yes, they need to build their literacy. They need to become biliterate. But reading the same little, quiere un gato. No, they need to be building it through reading. And they really need English language arts in Spanish. It needs to be a heritage class. If you have enough students to do that, great. But for most people, you don't. So hopefully you have another language class they can go to. And if you don't, and they're with you, you need to make it very clear to those parents and to those students that it's going to look differently for them. Thank you, Viviana, too. Okay, so then I jump into a full lesson, right? Like tons of personalization, constantly throwing out that call response, reminding them what that looks like, doing tons and tons of brain breaks. Here's a link to all the brain breaks I've written so far. I have tons and tons on my YouTube. Here, bit.ly/La Maestra Loca YouTube. Subscribe, yay! I love it when I get new subscribers. So do tons of brain breaks. And then at the end of class, I save a whole 5 minutes for them to just self-assess. And I go through each column with them. So I say, okay, looking at the first one that says, I was positive and participated in every activity with enthusiasm. They're like, every activity? Like every single activity. Every activity. Oh my God, Dawn, I think you've done 900 hearts. Every activity with enthusiasm. They're like, oh, I did not do every single activity. So I train them right then. I say, okay, I want you to think. You may not have done every activity with enthusiasm, but were you, for the most part, really engaged and excited about what we were doing? And then I say, remember, enthusiasm looks different for everyone. Enthusiasm for me is, yes, I'm bouncing off the walls. But what does enthusiasm look like for you? So I have them go through and rate. Their goal, and I tell them right then and there, is to get within 4 or 5 points of what I would grade them. So this is a 50-point rubric. So their goal is to get within 4 or 5 points of me. If they can do that and accurately assess themselves, even if they were like blurting a lot and having a lot of side conversations, but guys, a lot of times side conversations are just about what you're doing and they're clarifying meaning with their partners. So just make sure that you're not chastising them for a side conversation that's related. Be very careful, relentlessly positive no matter what. So if they're able to get within 4 or 5 points of you, it's an automatic 50 points A. Even if they really got 35 points on the rubric, if you would have graded them at a 36, they get an A. And that's because I do this maybe 2 to 3 times within that. So this is probably Friday. I'll see them again the next week. I'll do it 2 or 3 times the next week and maybe 1 or 2 more times. So 5-ish times, 6 maybe times. I am making sure that they can calibrate. And closer to the end, it's within 2 points of me. They have to get within 2 points of me. We're calibrating so they know every day. And people are like, oh, but I'm not allowed to grade on participation. This is not participation. This is everything we do. We are language teachers. We are world language teachers in a comprehensible input classroom. And ACTFL says we grade on interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational communication. And ACTFL says presentational should be significantly less than interpersonal and interpretive communication. That is what you are grading them on every day. And not every day. But that's what they think, right? So yes, you are calibrating exactly what that looks like, because then in the future when you put it in, you give them the accurate grade. So it takes a ton of time up front to be like every day getting those back and like figuring it out. Elementary can self-assess too. You just give them smiley faces, like a super happy heart face, like the heart face, right? And then that's super smiley face, and then the regular closed no teeth smile. Oh, it's awful. And then sad face, and then like crying face, and then a poop, like the poop emoji. And you just ask them, did you keep your eyes on me the whole class? And then they circle one. So they can even self-assess so that they know exactly what you're wanting them to do every class period. So do I use this rubric daily? The kids think I am. Do they see it daily? No. They see it a lot in the beginning, so they know exactly what I'm looking for, and then they maybe see it 1 time a month, and then they'll do an exit quiz on the back. I think it's so. Can anybody find the difference? You have to, if you're really serious about it, reach out to Diana Noonan, or go to Google and Google Denver Public Schools K-12 World Languages and see if there's any information on it there. I would do that. She tells me people reach out to her all the time that I send, and then nobody ever buys it, which is fine because it's expensive, but I mean, it's the first thing I'll be buying when I have any money at all. Okay, so I'm going to talk about high school now and high school tweaks. So high school is going to look so much the same as middle school, but you have to tweak it a little bit. First thing with high school, I don't do character traits of a language learner with high school, the chalk talk. I don't do it because I want them to take it really seriously, and I think that they'll just be eye rolling. I don't want any eye rolling or apathy, and they're just already prone to do that. So high school, day one, right from the beginning, you have to get rid of their cell phones, and you have to make sure that that's an expectation. So I have what I would do is a hotel for cell phones. I've seen really cute ones where you like make individual, sorry, Carlos, you make individual boxes, and the kids can like decorate their own hotel room. Like take the time to let them decorate a hotel room. And then really clever teachers put a buy 1 or 2 extension, like what are they called? You know those things where you plug in the phone to the wall, an outlet, but a long one that has lots of them. Anyways, buy a couple of those, plug it into your wall, and make it like a safe space where the kids can get their phones charged. Like when they come to your room, it's their charging station. because you know they want to be on their phones. You can't be mad at them for being on their phones, because guess what? You are on your phone right now. You have your phone in front of you. You're listening to me, but you're also checking social media. You're also taking notes on your phone, whatever you're doing. You're texting. We are always on our phones. Think about PD. You are on your phone all day, unless it's normed that you're not. And then if you follow that norm or not, you cannot be mad at your kids for something you do. And guess what? They're even more addicted than you are. So you can't be mad. You got to find opportunities to help them get it out of their hands. It's also a choice thing. Do not say, give me your phone, ever, to a high school student. I don't care if your school says you have the right to take away their phone. Don't ever say, give me your phone, because you are immediately creating a power struggle. You are taking power away from them. You're taking control away from them. There will be a power struggle. There will be conflict there. You give them choice. You say, hey, don't forget, we got to have our phones away. So if you want, you can go put it in the hotel, or I need you to go put it in your backpack outside, whatever works best for you. They're going to choose the hotel. Or, hey, can you just go put your phone on my desk or in the hotel? We're going to start class now. So you start from day one. Hey guys, I have this really cool hotel. It's correlated with numbers. Each of you have a number. It's going to be your number for the year. Every time you come in, you can charge your phone. I have a charging station for you. It's just the way it's going to work, because that's how we acquire language better. You'll also notice we're deskless in this classroom. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be totally different from all your other classes. We're going to talk about this today. So again, knowledge, there's no desks, but get rid of those cell phones. And then next with high school, I'm obviously deskless, but I'm also seating chartless. With middle, I don't need to model this the first couple of weeks. With high school, you need to model this the first day. Let me find my deskless blog. I'm deskless and seating chartless. And the important thing about seating chartless is that my kids, and with high school, they learn day one rapidly that they are changing seats all of extension cord. Thank you, Debbie. Or power strip. Gracias, you guys. Surge protector. That sounds serious. I don't know what that is. So my kids are, some people use an over-the-door shoe holder that works, and it is an easy charging station, but I've also heard of schools getting mad about that because of fire code. So be careful. I did post the rubric and self-assessment. Girl, I'm listening and working on my syllabus right now. I know, no phone, but you're distracted with something else, right? I know, you can't be mad at your kids. So deskless and seating chartless. So my kids come in and they automatically sit with their friends, which is cool. At PD, I'm immediately like, okay, where is she? Where is he? I'm gonna go sit with my buddies. That's what they're gonna do. And they already know each other. Most of them know each other. So they're gonna be sitting with each other. So immediately you stand them up. You say, okay, quick, get an order from tallest to shortest. Fast, 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 fast. And then you have them sit. Oh, just kidding. Rewind. You teach them your call response first. Call response. Or the transition, whatever transition you're doing. And then fast forward, you have them line up and from tallest to shortest or whatever. And then they all sit down in that order. And then you talk for 5 more minutes. You talk about your method. I don't even get into expectations and rules yet. Talk about a little bit about the deskless and what it looks like and what that's like. And then you quick stand them up and you say, okay, get an order of the color of the rainbow. Reds, orange, yellows. It can be shirts, shoes, whatever. Get an order of the color of the rainbow. Sit down. So now they're sitting completely next to somebody else and they're like, that's so weird. But you're showing them that they're gonna sit next to their best friend sometimes, and sometimes they're gonna sit next to the jock that they normally wouldn't choose to sit next to, and sometimes they're gonna sit next to the band geeks and the theater kids, because everybody is gonna be working together at all times. So I'm immediately doing this. Then I stand them up and I do what I do with my parents on parent night. So I'm even gonna post that for you. Because on parent night, I demo for parents exactly what the method is. There's a whole blog on it, and there's a PowerPoint for you. And so I have my kids get up, I have them paired, and I say, okay, pick one person to be alien, pick one person to be predator. And they choose, and then I say, hola, hola, Coca-Cola. And I say, okay, both of you think of your favorite childhood story. Mulan, Three Little Pigs, whatever your favorite childhood story is. And then I have Alien tell the story, but they can't say any words that end in an N or any words that begin with an S. Go. And the rules up there posted. And you're going to hear the most broken English ever. And they're doing this in English. And then you do the same thing with Predator, but give them a different set of random rules. And this is all on a PowerPoint you can download. And then they're like freaking out. And you say, okay, guys, I thought you were fluent in English. I thought, what the heck? Aren't some of you, isn't it your first language? Like, what's going on? You did not sound like it. And then you explain to them that that's why you're not going to teach them rules. That's why you're not going to teach them with a textbook. That's why you're going to do this. And then you jump into a model with personalization. And it might be with quiere, wants, because high schoolers, it's all about what they want and what they don't have. So do your high school students leave their backpack stacked? My high schoolers, when I taught high school, they brought it in with them. I'd rather them leave it out, but they bring it out with them. And the reality is, if I were to ask them to leave their backpacks outside, they're probably not going to, because they're not going to trust people. Unless it's a school-wide norm of leaving backpacks outside, I doubt they will. But they just bring it in with them. But I would have a place in the class where they can all pile their bags, or maybe like nice hooks that correlate with their numbers of their phone in the phone hotel. When do you do any games such as Kahoot? And if the student computer don't work, do you allow students to use their phones? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't let them use their phones. If you're one-to-one and the student's computer doesn't work, I would do, like, some people aren't one-to-one. So when I wasn't one-to-one, and in my learning labs this summer, I didn't have any technology. I still played Kahoot with them. I made a red square, a yellow square, a green square, and a blue square. And you just have tons of those squares paper clipped together. If a kid's computer isn't working, you throw the paper at them, and they can use the paper to answer Kahoot. I would always keep phones out of it, because if you let phones slide in once, they're going to ask why it can't be used all the time. Okay, let's see. I'm so glad you're sharing the childhood story method. It was so eye-opening. Yeah, and high schoolers need to feel that. High schoolers, because high schoolers will be the first to push back about, well, why can't we just have vocabulary lists? Why can't we just have grammar rules? If they push back, they're going to be the ones to push back. But immediately from day one, tackling that is huge. The demo is huge, Blair. It's huge for parents, and it's really, really, really good for kids. Students put their backpacks by their lockers. That's cool, but it's not in all schools for sure. And I wouldn't ask kids if it's not already done in all their other classes. So once you've done that with high school, make sure you're doing lots of the desk lists, like switching around. I do a brain break with them, and I do one that I know they're gonna love right away, like the rock, paper, scissors train, where they're like chanting each other's names, something that high schoolers are gonna love. And I get really, really enthusiastic and amped up about it, because I want them all to participate in it, right? When they sit back down and they're all jazzed, I say, hola, hola, Coca-Cola. I wait till they're totally quiet. And then I talk to them about why I'm going to do brain breaks. And I'm going to tell them that I have tons of them. I'm going to reference my brain breaks poster. I think my brain breaks poster now, guys, has 112 or something like that. I'm working on a blog. It was supposed to be posted weeks ago. I'll get it done. But I talk about brain break research, like how their brains really need a break. And I tell them how I know in a lot of their classes, it's a lot of lecturing. But I tell them how my class is going to be even more rigorous because they're going to be required to just listen and respond all the time. So I'm going to give them brain breaks, but it's really essential that everybody participates in them, because the apathy of high schoolers is that they're going to try and get away with not. And so from the beginning, they need to know that they're going to be participating all the time. So those are my tweaks for high school, because they still take the same test. I don't do the chalk talk. They still get the same syllabus. They still get the same rubric for interpersonal and interpretive communication. They're still calibrating with me like the middle schoolers did. The card talk, here's another tweak. Instead of, if you're doing card talk with them where they're writing their name and then drawing something, with high schoolers, that's a great thing to do, but don't put that at their feet. You have not built a place of community, trust, relationships, all those things yet with them. And even if you think you had from last year, it's a different dynamic if those classes have mixed. And if there's new kids in there, they don't know that. You collect the card talk, and then you shuffle through and you talk about the ones that you want to talk about, because the likelihood of there being an inappropriate drawing, they're high school students, they're going to test those limits. So you don't want to risk derailing the class, if that makes sense. And then you just continue to focus on those relationships and building that community with them. I'll say real quick, this has gone over, but that's fine, and I'll answer some questions. That the only thing that matters, and I say this all the time, the only thing that matters is community and relationships. Because if your kids don't know that you care deeply about what you're teaching, they're not going to care at all. There's no likelihood of them caring. If they don't feel like you care about them and getting to know them as people, those angry faces are happening again, guys. It's making me anxious. If they don't know that you care about them as people, they're not going to care about you, your content, your class, nothing. So you need to make a serious effort from the very beginning to motivate them just through looking in their eyes and being stoked that they're there. Really excited that they're there in your classroom every single freaking day. My learning lab that I did at Express Fluency last week, the most powerful. So I saw these guys for 4 days, just 4 days. And they were elementary kids, and elementary is not my strength. I'm always hired for these elementary language labs, and I'm like, oh my God, it's really middle schoolers where it's at for me, but okay. And I had these elementary kids. And one of the last part of the debrief, we turned our chairs around and we talked to the grown-ups that were observing in the back of the room. And one of them asked what the favorite brain breaks were. We got up for 15 minutes and taught them all of our favorite brain breaks. It was so cute. I have videos on my YouTube of that. It was adorable. And then we sat back down and looked at them. And one of them asked, what was the most special part of this week for you? And all their hands shut up. And I told them they didn't have to answer if they didn't want. And so I looked at this little girl named Unicornio, go figure, Kelsey. And I said, Kelsey. And she said, you. So cute. And then Stella was like, oh. And I said, what's wrong, Stella? I said, thank you, Unicornio. And Stella said, that's what I was going to say. And a couple other kids said, me too. So cute. That's not what was amazing. What was amazing was Panju. Panju rose his hands and he said, I'll tell you, it's easy and it's what everybody else is thinking too. My favorite part about this week and the most special part of every single day was you, Maestra, and you, and you, and you. And he took a second to look every single child in the eye and point to them and say that was his favorite part of this week. And it's because even though I only had them for 4 days, my only focus was creating this safe, special community place where we could take risks and could acquire, and for 2.5 hours a day. Like, that's a lot for these elementary babies. I needed it to be fun. I needed it to be safe. And I needed us all to be a community. And so it was the best thing ever. And then after he was done, like, naming every child and going through, he turned his chair around and looked at all the adults, and he goes, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and did it to every adult in the room. And I think it speaks numbers to the power of community and relationships, because that's the only thing that matters. So forget all of, like, if you are new to CI and you're trying really hard to figure out what the heck this thing is, don't worry, it'll come. What's more important is you're focusing on the community, the relationships, the love you are fostering in your room. And I'm going to post 2 blogs on that. One is called Passion, Enthusiasm, and Love. And remember, enthusiasm doesn't mean bouncing off the walls for everybody. And then I'm also going to talk about the Power of Positivity, which was a blog I did for my kids where they did a survey. Remember that survey we all gave in April? Told my kids all foreign language teachers were giving a survey on the same day. And question, does your teacher enjoy their job? 100% of my kids said yes. How does your teacher feel about you, and how do you know? These kids, I mean, I cry every time I read their responses. My teacher loves me. My teacher loves me because I know it. You see her in her eyes, you hear it in her voice, and she tells us every single day. They have to know that for them to begin to start acquiring a language in your classroom. That's the reality. And that's obviously one teacher's opinion. I'm so glad you're sharing the childhood story. Okay, let's see. Some questions. Could you post a photo of your Brain Breaks poster at some time? I can't right now because I don't have it. And I've recreated it 4 times this summer at 4 different conferences, and I've given it away at every conference. So I need to recreate it before I move back into my new classroom. But Janet, there's going to be a huge Brain Breaks blog post, the biggest one I've ever done. And it's going to be epic. And so just look for that. Would you do card talk with elementary? Yep, you can do card talk with elementary. You just got to be very patient with their drawings, because you got to give them a little bit more time to do that drawing and let them focus on one thing. Thanks for the card talk modification. No problem. Don't forget, Angela, any tips for? Oh, thank you, Viviana. I already kind of addressed that. And so native and heritage speakers, you've got to advocate for them and you to be in a better place, like in a different language. And that's not available, then you've got to find a way to give them something else to do, because them listening to you speak at a snail's pace in their native language is not benefiting them. Give them a novel to read, have them do book reports on that. You've got to find a way to support them so that they're still growing. Tina, they weren't all hearts. We're talking about this nightmare of some of these like angry faces. I would cry. I would cry about something too. I don't know what you would cry about. I hope it's a happy thing. All we need is love. Oh, maybe you were talking about Ponju. It was the sweetest thing. I did cry. All we need is love. It's true. That's all we need. And when do you start to model CI with high school? So once you, that's a good question. I didn't even get there. So I just said it's the same as middle. So what you do, so once you've like shown them what CI is, like that you're not going to be teaching traditionally, next day they're likely, well, there's probably still time that day. I jump in, even if it's 5 minutes, to be able to give them a sample of it before they leave. I only want it to be a short sample because they haven't done their pre-test yet. So, and then they come in, they do their pre-test, and it takes 1 or 2 days. And then, and it's nice if you create a pre-test that they can really take in 1, 2, and 3 to be able to show growth in proficiency level. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, garlic is serious, guys. My fiance is traveling back from Sturgis in his bachelor trip, and I'm really glad he's not here tonight because I smell so bad of garlic. So then the next day they take those 2 days of of pretest or one day, give them the same kind of student interest survey. You got to be interested in got to know what they're into. One of my favorite questions is always, what's one really weird or random fact about you? Because sometimes if these kids are already feeling like you care, they tell you something really deep and it's like, wow, which is really cool. So, then when they come back, you give them the syllabus, you give them that rubric, and you jump in. And I always choose to just do personalization and talking about them, because high schoolers love to talk about themselves. It's their favorite thing. So I would talk about them. I'd talk and talk and talk about them. Usually it's once, I've found with high schoolers, if it's a level 1A, but find ways to talk about them and jump in and then go straight to that rubric for interpersonal and interpretive communication, and making sure that they know exactly what you want of them and calibrating with them just like you did with middle. E-course from Fluency Matters is my plan for heritage speakers who need some help with written Spanish. Viviana, that's brilliant. Oh my gosh, that's a really good idea. An e-course from Fluency Matters. That's a great idea. I have your Brainbugs poster from IFLT. I can post a pic of it tomorrow. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Tiff. Oh, that'd be awesome. Say hi to my girl for me. Tell her I've been using my pink unicorn head everywhere I go. So I'm trying to understand about classroom management with high school, watching John Cowart's videos about not ignoring the small stuff, talking to neighbors, etc. Don't quite understand how to stay completely positive. Well, I was not in John Cowart's session. I don't know what John Cowart says about it, but if you're really struggling with classroom management, I'm literally doing a 3-hour presentation split into 2 1-hour-and-a-half sections with Fluency Matters in a webinar. And I think, and if you went to IFLT, I think it's even discounted. But Paul Kirschling says relentlessly positive no matter what. He's Colorado Foreign Language Teacher of the Year. I'm Louisiana Foreign Language Teacher of the Year. We both manage the same way. I know positivity is absolutely the number one hardest thing when it's a train wreck and you're like, how am I supposed to be positive right now? Kids who are acting out the most when things are really, really a mess, they need positivity more than any humans ever. Your hardest classes need the most love. And I know these are things you hear and you're like, I know, but it's so hard. It is so freaking hard, but they need it. And my first year, I remember when I taught in high school, I had these kids that ate me alive every day. They wouldn't be on their phones, headphones in. When I tried to call their attention, they'd literally turn their desk around and look the other freaking way. Oh my God. I cried every single day at home, never in front of them. And I, for 4 months, was relentlessly positive. And they came around. And it was in December. And it took forever. But oh my gosh, it was so worth it in the end, because they just knew that I did care and I was gonna keep on trying. I know it's hard, but you gotta find a way. Okay, you guys, so we've got an hour and a half on a Saturday night, so yay you for PD on a Saturday. I'm gonna try and post this to YouTube in case you just missed it, or in case you're Sarah Breckley and you just joined. Hi, Sarah. But have a great first week. And if you've already done a first week, yay, have an awesome second week. I'm going to post now a picture, I think. No, I'm not. My next one, how do I insert an image? I'm going to post it in the comments. My next session, or my next, what's it called? Live thing is going to be on Wednesday, August 29th, and it's at 9 p.m. again. I'll do some daytime ones too, but the reality is that's going to be what works for my family. I'm waiting in a couple of weeks because I have the webinar on Monday and then another the next week. So I'll do my next live video on August 29th at 9 p.m. And it's going to be on relationships and community. So hopefully you'll have already started building really strong relationships and community in your classroom, and this will just be a boost on extra ideas on how to do it, and really making sure you're taking time to value everybody in the community and what that looks like, and little cheats and tricks to tune into your kids, and what they need and what they're listening to, so that they know that you're listening to them. So Carlos and I are going to post that as soon as we're off here, and we're going to go to bed because we're tired and we have a lot to do with Isla Rose tomorrow. And I appreciate you for being here with me tonight on a Saturday night. I hope you were in PJs and had a glass of wine or beer or tea in your hand. Love you guys. I'm so lucky to be in such a community with so many amazing people. Have a great night. And I'll talk to you soon. Oh, you rock. Keep on trying. Yeah, you gotta keep on trying. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Hey, mil gracias. De nada. Rode our bike to Sturgis last year. Oh my gosh, yeah. I wanted to go with him, but it's his bachelor's trip. I gotta let him have that. I'm gonna get some rest and relaxation. I may even take a bath tomorrow. Really excited. Yeah, blog links are still gonna be in the comments. Of course, I'm so happy to share anything that I have, except for my pre-test, because I'm really not, pre and post-test, I'm not to a point where I want to share it yet, but I will eventually. No problem for taking time. You're welcome. Oh, look at all the hearts. Now you're feeling me with love. If an angry one pops up, I'll know for sure it's serious now. Okay, I love you all. I'll talk to you next time. Have fun with your kids. We're so lucky to do what we do. Holy cow. Okay, love you. Bye. Okay, how do I exit out? Oh, God. Okay. Okay, and love you. Bye.